Today on Public Eye News, Wisconsin GOP lawmakers are working on medical pot legalization, and later, frequent shootings have put U.S. mass killings on a record pace.
And later, Emily Seven will have your weather for the week, and Scott Minshaw will have your sports update. Hello, I'm Colin Metzger.
And I'm Brad Seaborg, and this is Public Eye News. Michigan Senate Committee has approved a $175 million allocation for a factory to be built in Mascota County by Chinese manufacturer Gotion. The project is expected to create thousands of jobs and help stimulate the Big Rapids economy. The factory will produce cathodes and anodes, which are important components of batteries used in electric vehicles. Jim Chapman, the supervisor of Green Charter Township, described the plant as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and the largest business investment in Mascota County history. The allocation comes as a part of the state's effort to increase the number of economic projects in Michigan, which also included a large tax incentive that would help bring another battery plant to the state. Republican lawmakers opposed the plant, with Representative John Molinar calling the plant a historic mistake. And Wisconsin GOP lawmakers are working towards the legalization of medical marijuana. The group of lawmakers are working to gather support for a medical cannabis program that could be enacted into law by the fall. Wisconsin is currently one of the few states that has yet to legalize the use of medical marijuana, as 38 states already allow the practice. Wisconsin lawmakers are keen to ensure that the legalization doesn't go further than medical marijuana, with representatives holding steadfast they will not entertain proposals to legalize marijuana recreationally. Democrats in Wisconsin are skeptical of the news, citing many other times the Republican speaker has made promises regarding medical marijuana without taking action. According to polls done by the Marquette University Law Group in 2019, 64% of Wisconsinites support legalizing marijuana for any use, with more than 80% in support for its medical use.
And you might recognize the name Mike Lindell from his commercials with his product, the MyPillow. Recently, Lindell was ordered to pay $5 million for a breach of contract in a dispute over data with a software engineer. Lindell stated that he had no intention of paying and that he expects the dispute to land in court. Lindell is a strong promoter of false claims that machines were manipulated to steal the 2020 presidential election. During a cyber symposium in August of 2021, Lindell launched a challenge offering a $5 million reward for anyone that could prove that packet captures and other data he released were not valid data from the November 2020 election. Robert Zaidman entered the challenge with a report that concluded the data from Lindell did not contain packet data or any information related to the November 2020 election. Zaidman was rejected as the winner and proceeded to file for arbitration under the contest rules. And Ohio Republicans moved forward with their plan to make it harder to amend the state's constitution. The effort is speculated to be aimed at thwarting an abortion rights amendment in the works this fall. After months of debating the issue, both the Senate and House committees cleared identical resolutions. Each called for raising the 50% plus one threshold in place for passing Ohio constitutional amendments since 1912 to 60%. More than 250 groups are lined up to fight the measure, including the League of Women Voters, the NAACP, and an array of labor, faith, civil rights, and good government and community organizations. And turning trash into treasure is one man's way of tackling the problem of plastic pollution. On this Earth Week, he's part of an upcycling trend he hopes will change the world. CBS's Tina Kraus has a story from London.
Welcome, guys, to my recycled tiny home. Gary
Binchaglib is right at home in his own plastic paradise, a dwelling made from 35,000 plastic bags.
Fully equipped with a king-size bed, a kitchen, and a full-on bathroom.
The plastic pad sits on a beach on the resort island of Bali, where he collected the trash.
Fully off the grid, powered by solar, so this is the battery storage area.
The bed frame, furniture, and kitchen cabinets were all built from plastic cups and straws.
Why not recycle the plastics that we're collecting from the rivers and really show what we can do with it?
Binchaglib started a movement 2 years ago, cleaning up Bali's iconic beaches, clogged rivers, and illegal dumping sites to stop the trash from reaching the ocean. Now his upcycling trend has hit one of the island's high-end beach clubs, where workers are busy building tables, chairs, and all kinds of accessories out of waste.
How do we minimize what goes to landfill? Because at the end of the day, it's not waste until it ends up in a landfill.
Back at home, Binchagib says he's living proof everyone can do their part to help the planet. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with your weather and national news after this short break.
What was the biggest single surprise to you?
Complex and revealing.
One of the worst miscalculations in history.
David Rubenstein explores America's past.
He certainly thought of himself as an historic figure.
With scholars, authors.
You wear a tie when you're running your column?
I wear a tie in the shower.
And a bit of fun. History with David Rubenstein.
Tonight at 6.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Emily Seven with your weather update. Taking a look at our roof cam here, we notice all the piles of snow are melted, but it's still a little bit overcast. Hopefully it'll warm up sometime this next week. Taking a look across the UP, starting up in Houghton, it is 46 and cloudy today. Heading west to Ironwood, 38 and cloudy. Iron Mountain, 47 and cloudy. Down south in Menominee, it is 50 and cloudy. Escanaba, 49 and cloudy. Moving over to the east, we have a little bit of sun peeking out. In Manistee, it is 46 and pure sun. And in the Sioux, 48 and partly cloudy. Wrapping it up with our lovely Marquette, it is 47 degrees and cloudy. Taking a look at our current conditions, we have winds out of the southwest at 13 miles an hour. Our barometric pressure is 29.75 and falling. And tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with a low of 33, winds out of the west at 10 miles an hour. And tomorrow we'll be seeing a little bit of rain. We have a high of 42, a low of 30, and winds out of the west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. And looking ahead into our weekend and next week, starting on Sunday, we have a high of 37 and cloudy, low of 27. Monday, high of 39, low of 30, partly cloudy. And Tuesday, high of 40, low of 31, and also partly cloudy. That's all the weather updates I have. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you for that weather update. The U.S. has announced that they will begin training Ukrainians on how to use and maintain the Abrams tanks. The move comes in an attempt to speed up the reinforcement efforts after a meeting between defense leaders from around Europe at the Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. 31 tanks will arrive in Germany by the end of May, when troops will begin their 10-week training on the vehicles. President Biden had previously vowed against sending the Abrams to Ukraine over concerns they were too complicated and too hard to maintain. Germany has also signed a memorandum of understanding with Poland and Ukraine to construct a maintenance center for the Leopard 2 tank fleet currently in Poland. These announcements came following the gathering of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group, which features roughly 50 nations and is led by the U.S. And with 88 deaths across 17 mass shootings in just 111 days, the U.S. is on pace for a record year. Not since 2009 has the U.S. had more tragedy and injustice in such a short period of time. In the last week alone, 4 were murdered and 32 injured at a Sweet 16 in Alabama, and in Maine, a prisoner who was just released from prison shot 4 people, including his parents, before shooting at drivers on an interstate highway. 2,842 people have been slain in mass killings since 2006. This year, one of those mass killings happens just every 6.5 days. Some states are attempting to make gun laws stricter. In Michigan, Governor Whitmer signed a new law that would require criminal background checks on the purchase of all rifles and shotguns. And in Washington, a ban on a number of semi-automatic rifles has cleared the state legislature and now awaits the governor's signature. And following the shooting of a 16-year-old last week, a group of mothers in Kansas City has seen enough when it comes to gun violence and are now making their voices heard. Adriana Diaz spoke with the moms who say the fear terrorizing families is unbearable.
It may not be our kids, but it's going to be someone's kids, and that hurts just as much.
Sarah Ennis, Anna Simpson, Annie Knoll, and Eileen Knobloch are suburban Kansas City moms who say if they don't speak up, they're part of the problem.
So many women out here today, this was their first protest. This was my first protest. They'd never done anything like this, and it felt scary and uncomfortable. And we want other moms like us to get uncomfortable a little bit.
That's why just 3 weeks ago, after the Nashville school shooting, they created Lives on the Line, a group stretching across district, state, and party lines, demanding an end to gun violence.
We don't have enough white people who are willing to stand up and say, this is not right.
Because we know that Black children and LGBT people are affected by gun violence at a much higher level.
Yeah. A recent CBS News poll showed 61% of parents say their children are worried about gun violence.
My 8-year-old woke up the other night and she said, "Mom, I had this dream and there were guns."
You have mental health issues everywhere, but when you pair those with absolute chaos in terms of gun legislation, this is what you get.
With gun gridlock in Washington, states are paving their own way in both directions. This week, Washington state will become the 10th to ban assault weapons, and Florida's governor recently signed a bill allowing permitless concealed carry, the 26th state to do so. And in Tennessee, despite the Nashville school shooting last month, representatives just passed a law protecting gun manufacturers against lawsuits. The states with the weakest gun laws have gun death rates that are 3 times higher than states with strong restrictions.
I think about it every day I drop my children off at school.
Every day?
Every single day.
Oh,
every day I say I love you, and I pray it. I'm not exaggerating. I pray it's not the last time I see it.
One mom also told us that maybe there needs to be a change in narrative, perhaps approach ending gun violence as what could be the greatest achievement of this era. Adriana Diaz, CBS News, Kansas City.
Don't go anywhere. After this break, Scott Minshaw will have your sports update. Stay tuned.
Goodbye then. In the shadow of war, when nothing is certain.
War has a way of distinguishing the things that matter.
What holds us,
I beg you to keep him safe.
what heals us,
It's the thought of you that keeps me going.
is love. The epic story continues.
I'd wait forever.
Downton Abbey Season 2.
Season 2 continues this Friday at 9.
Welcome back and thank you for joining us. And I don't know about you, but this warm weather that we're getting here in the Upper Peninsula is making me want to take advantage of it and get out on the golf course. Well, that's exactly what the NMU women's golf team is doing. This weekend, the Cats will be traveling to Augusta, Michigan to begin their weekend at the GLIAC Championships, taking place at Stonehenge North Golf Club. Today we'll begin the qualifying events, with each team playing 36 holes of stroke play to determine individual medalists. The top 4 teams will move on to match play portion of the weekend, with the semifinals slotted for tomorrow at 10 a.m. and the final taking place on Sunday there at 9 a.m. The Wildcat team will include Annie Pietola, Paxton Johnson, Abigail Boozer, Haley Bolander, and Maya Hunter, who was the team's top scorer last time the Cats were out at the Cavs Classic. The Cats' best finish at the championship was 2nd place in 2018. Now moving into the NFL world, 2 Detroit Lions players will face suspensions on the return this upcoming NFL season. Wide receivers Stanley Berryhill and Jameson Williams will face 6-game suspensions when the regular season resumes, although they will still be eligible for preseason selection and off-season training camps. Wide receiver Quintez Cephas and safety C.J. Moore will join the Washington Commanders defensive and Shaka Toney on the sidelines for the entire 2023 season, and will not be eligible for reinstatement until after the end of the next season. The NFL said that the review found no evidence indicating any inside information was used or that any games were compromised in any way. The Lions immediately released Cephas and Moore, stating that they, quote, exhibited decision-making that is not consistent with our organizational values and it violates league rules, end quote. And finally today in the sports world, the NMU women's lacrosse team will be closing out their season with a pair of home games against Davenport and Grand Valley. Beginning today with the game against against the Davenport Panthers, the Green and Gold will host Davenport University at 5 p.m. in the Superior Dome. On Sunday, the Cats will host the Grand Valley State University Lakers at noon for the senior night game, where graduating members of the team will be honored during halftime. Cats are hoping to finish strong on a 9-5 overall record this season. That season second in the GLIAC. But that's all I have for sports. Back to you, Brad.
That's all the time we have for you today at Public Eye News. I'm Brad Seaborg.
I'm Colin Metzger.
And we'll see you next week.